Wait, I'm on live. Go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, live. Hello.
Hi, live. Peanut Gallery's a little quieter tonight. Daniel's not here with his music, but the TV's on because we are reporting breaking news that Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire. So the imminent deal is now on the cards. However, anything can happen. Don't expect hostages to come pouring out of Gaza anytime soon. And also do not expect Palestinian prisoners to be released right away. Also, do not expect that the Israeli military is going to withdraw from Gaza tonight. That's not going to happen. None of this is going to happen. We are going to be, all right, thanks. It's going to be a long and drawn out process it's going to be like a couple of weeks. So this is breaking. I just got home and I was following along the news, but I don't have, we're going to be like reporting this as it breaks on the news. I'm watching the Israeli news. Let me go back to, it starts at the top at 8:00, right before 8:00. We'll do a little bit of the Israeli news. Let's see what else, what other news is going to come out. We've got, I think Al Jazeera reported it. I know Hamas also put out a statement. And okay, so let's see. So in the first stage, I'm going to read to you the notes right now that I see. There's going to be a release of 33. It says, that means both female and male prisoners. In another news report, I heard them say only the female prisoners, but there are some kids as well involved and that are still in Gaza. There were the Bibis kids. So one was 9 months old when he was abducted, and the older one, Ariel, was 4 years old. I believe he's 5 now. I mean, he's definitely, he might even be 6. I don't know. Anyway, he's definitely more than a year and almost a half older now. So so everybody assumes that that they will be part of the first round. They should have been part of the previous rounds, but Hamas claims something that Israel has not confirmed yet whether or not they are alive. Israel has said they have no evidence that they're not. But Hamas released a statement long ago that they were killed. The Bibis family, the mother and the 2 boys were killed in an Israeli bombing. But Israel has not confirmed that, has no proof of that. So they're going to release 33 hostages in the first round, and it says either dead or alive. There's 98 hostages being held, of which about 30% are that Israel believes at least 30% are dead, and there are some we've had signs of life, and then there are others that we have not. So we don't know. Hamas released videos recently as 2 weeks ago. They released video of one of the hostages, of Liri Albag. She was a young soldier who was kidnapped with other observers at one of the military outposts. So other than that, recently, I'm trying to think, they did not release about Cunyo's husband. Okay, let's move on. Okay, Israel is demanding that the majority of the first 33 would be alive. Then there will be, all right, so the ceasefire will be for 42 days. There will be 3 more. Okay, so when they say 33 hostages, it's over the 40. It looks like, what I'm reading now, that it's over the 42 days, I think. And because it says 3 hostages will be released already on Sunday. So they're only going to release 3 at a time. They're going to like bleed them out. Okay, in exchange, well, let me see if they have it officially here. I know that they're going to be releasing prisoners. Go ahead. They're going to be releasing Palestinian prisoners that are in Israeli jails, and including ones with blood on their hands. Ultimately, according to what they were saying prior to, they were saying that for days we were talking about the terms of the deal, and they'll be releasing over 1,000. The number wasn't exact, but over 1,000 Palestinian prisoners that are sitting in Israeli jails, including, at some point I had heard the number that of them, 200 will have been convicted of murder or serving life sentences. So presumably were convicted of murder in terror attacks. So let's see, here's this other part. Here's the other part, that will more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners will be released, including women, men, and prisoners up until the age of 19, including the others being released, terrorists, murderers, and prisoners that are serving a life sentence. They will be released. Sorry, I'm translating. Wait, as a team, well, they're going to release that. They're going to release prisoners also that they arrested and took to Israel for questioning and kept in prison, whatever, after the 8th of October, they said. I think this specifying 8th of October, I think indicates that if they were involved in the 7th of October and arrested, that like for crimes committed that day, that they're not going to be released. I think. I'm not 100% sure. Okay. And by the way, who knows if this is official? Who knows if this is official? I mean, like the terms that they're reporting, although these are similar to the terms that they've been reporting in the last couple of days. Okay, so so up until the 22nd day, that the okay, so they will allow Gazans to return to the north. So now there's an entire section of northern Gaza that has been emptied of all of the residents there, as Israel was in doing this military operation to basically flatten that part of Gaza that borders with southern Israel. And so they had methodically called for evacuations of neighborhood after neighborhood. They did not finish. There's like one section that wasn't finished, but most of the residents have been evacuated south. They say that anybody who was like, if this area was said like evacuate this area, if it was not evacuated, they considered the people after the orders went through and the time was given, that if you're still there, then you are hostile. So anyway, so presumably most of the residents are south now. And so they will allow some sort of passages. And then, of course, they will increase the humanitarian aid. Oh, sorry, I have to say thanks for dropping off my kid who's about to come through the door. I'll have to get up and get it. Okay. They will increase humanitarian aid to Gaza. Okay. So now I want to read to you Donald Trump made a statement and released a statement. So actually, I think a lot of people got the news first from him. So here's his quote. This epic, all caps, epic ceasefire agreement could have only happened as a result of our historic capital victory in November, as it signaled to the entire world that my administration would seek peace and negotiate deals to ensure the safety of all Americans and our allies. I am thrilled American and Israeli hostages will be returning home to be reunited with their families and loved ones. With this deal in place, my national security team, through the efforts of Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, will continue to work closely with Israel and our allies to make sure Gaza never again becomes a terrorist safe haven period. Hold that thought. Excuse me. Hi, welcome back.
I'm live.
Alive. Alive.
I will have. I don't care. I'm taking it from there.
Oh no, don't take it,
No,
please.
I don't care.
Look for the other one.
No, I'm not taking it because we have another one.
We will continue promoting, all caps, peace through strength throughout the region as we build upon the momentum of this ceasefire to further expand the historic Abraham Accords. This is only the beginning of great things to come for America and indeed the world. We have achieved so much without even being in the White House. Just imagine all the wonderful things that will happen when I return to the White House and my administration is fully confirmed so that they can secure more victories for the United States. Okay, so if you're just joining, breaking news: the ceasefire has been agreed to. We were all waiting breathlessly for 24 hours for Hamas to give its final answer, and they have agreed to it. We're looking right now at the terms. What I was just reading, in case you joined in the middle, was President Trump, his statement about the quote epic ceasefire agreement. Okay, wait, hold on a second. Okay, so they're just breaking down the hostages that they expect to go the first round. But before we break that down, let's break down this one because I think it is. Oh, that was nice of you.
What?
That was nice of you.
No, it looks like you have it right.
Raya let Daniel continue having the iPad, even though. Where's his?
It doesn't work to charge.
It has to work. It doesn't charge. Wow, what's happening behind me?
My hair is so bad.
Okay. All right, drink water. Drink water. You probably didn't drink enough today. Let's break down Trump's statement because I think that this is very interesting. And look, we've got days to wait for all the details of the ceasefire, which could still blow up in our faces, no pun intended, until Sunday when anybody will be released, be it an Israeli hostage, a Palestinian. And I think they're releasing them back to the Gaza Strip, not the West Bank, but that's, another story altogether that we don't have the details on yet. But let's go back. So Trump is saying, of course, I understand that he's saying it was basically it's a result of his victory that that this deal was being made because and he has said several times that if the hostages are not released by January 20th, when he takes office, there will be all hell to pay. So I think that I do think that there was some kind of pressure after his election is when we started getting closer to a ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel. And then amazingly, in the midst of the ceasefire, which is coming to the first 60 days is coming to an end very soon. In the midst of that, they were able in Lebanon to elect a president, which they haven't had in a stable way for several years. I think it's 3 or 4 years. They haven't had a president. So now they have an entire government. They did the president, prime minister, and I think a third position. I think it's a speaker. I'm not 100% sure. Speaker of the House, something like that, head of the parliament. And so they have more of a secure footing right now. Now, I think that was also due in part, in my opinion, to the fact that Trump has his daughter's father-in-law is Lebanese and has Lebanese Christian, and he's also a wealthy businessman. And he has ties to Lebanon still, or has connections there. And I believe that, he's appointed him as a special envoy to the Middle East. And I think that there was a lot of behind the scenes wheeling and dealing, do this ceasefire now. And there will be good things coming your way if you do it. And of course, for Lebanon, especially because Lebanon is financially strapped country right now. So anyway, I believe that there was something about that. Now, also, I don't know if you know this, but many of the hostages have dual citizenship or are foreigners entirely, like they're just here on work visas or whatever. So there were a lot of from Thailand, from Africa, and many of them were released in the first couple of rounds. And also there were a few with Russian citizenship, dual Israeli Russian citizenship, and they got out. So there could have been like a little bit of a wheeling and dealing with Putin to get them out. So there were at some point, I think there were something close to like 20 Americans. And now I don't know how many Americans that are there alive. They have confirmed that unfortunately many have been killed. But there's at least one that I know of. In any case, this is what Trump is saying. I'm thrilled American and Israeli hostages will be returning home to be reunited with their families and loved ones. So very important that that these dual citizens. There's also a British, actually. So the one that's the only one is British Israeli, and she's so anyway. And I don't know what other citizenships, dual citizens are there. Okay, so what else does he say? With this deal in place, my national security team, through the efforts of Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, will continue to work closely with Israel and our allies to make sure Gaza never again becomes a terrorist safe haven. So now, I think there's a lot that we have to unpack here in terms of if for Gaza to never again become like, is that just rhetoric, or is there also a deal to replace Hamas? And would Hamas have agreed to that deal in advance? Like, for instance, like for safe passage for the Hamas leaders to get out of Gaza, and this deal, we'll give you safe passage out, but then we're going to turn over control to another foreign entity or to the Palestinian Authority, like Saudi Arabia coming in, is the UAE coming in, the UAE part of the Abraham Accords, or will Saudi to join the Abraham Accords, will they get somehow control? Then again, how do you do something like that? It's geographically separated from the West Bank, where other Palestinians live under a different government. Like the Palestinians in the West Bank live under the Palestinian Authority, whereas the Palestinians in Gaza live under Hamas. So is he just, making a strong statement and using just the typical rhetoric of Gaza will never again become a terrorist safe haven? Or has he done something? Is there another deal going on? And by the way, why is Trump all over this deal and not even like, you hear more about him than Biden, actually, even though, I mean, we hear from Anthony Blinken. But so the next sentence here might shed light on what is behind the previous sentence. We will continue promoting, and he uses all caps, peace through strength throughout the region as we build upon the momentum of the ceasefire to further expand the historic Abraham Accords. So now I need to point out, where are the negotiations taking place? In Qatar. Qatar's traditionally been like an definitely enemy state of Israel. I mean, not direct, but they have no relations, and there it's where Al Jazeera is based. It's actually like it's in Doha. Hold on, there's a lot of messages coming through. I just wanted to see. Okay, so but Qatar has been hosting these negotiations. We're still waiting for a press conference. Actually, it's been on for hours now. That we're like the same scene, like in Qatar, like waiting for somebody to come and make an announcement. And I just saw it again. It's been hours. I thought I missed it. So I am wondering if the fact that that they held this position, held strong to do the ceasefire negotiations if they're being promised something for this, and if getting something from the through the Abraham Accords, like, is this part of it? Like, I mean, maybe it's a bit far-fetched, maybe they're too far removed from Israel, or too much of an enemy to Israel that they would join the Abraham Accords. But, like, I don't know, this is just one of the things that I was thinking. And also with these sentences here, that Gaza will never be a safe haven for terrorists, and that we will continue promoting peace through strength throughout the region. And so what is the strength that we're talking about? I don't know. And also to build upon the Abraham Accords. Okay. And so then he wraps up by saying, this is Donald Trump, if you're just joining, we have achieved so much without even being in the White House. Just imagine all the wonderful things that will happen when I return to the White House and my administration is fully confirmed, so they can secure more victories for the United States. So also, why is this a victory for the United States? Like, it just because it was a good negotiation? I mean, mostly is it a victory for Israel? Is it a victory for the Gazans? Is it a victory for Hamas? I mean, but the U.S. I would put like third or fourth on the list if you wanted to talk about victories. So anyway, and another thing that a lot of people are pointing out in the Israeli press is that Steve Witkoff, who is the special envoy to the Middle East under the incoming Trump administration, seemingly at least, had more influence than the entire past 15, 16 months with Biden at the helm. Like, the whole Biden administration couldn't push through this deal, but this guy who's not even in office yet has flown to Egypt, has been, I think, in Doha, and also here in Jerusalem, and then the deal goes through. And I also I should check what he has to say. I saw this negotiator who said, this is the same deal that we had on the table in May, and Netanyahu didn't take it then. And here, let's see what he says. Let's see if he has a recent post, this one, because he's pretty interesting. Oh, wait. Okay, I can't get distracted by all these. There's like so many messages coming in. Okay, I see a question here. Does this mean that the Houthis will stop shooting missiles at Israel? Nope. They are not bound by this agreement, and I think that they would still shoot if they felt like it. And they did not shoot any yesterday that we know of, or at least none that arrived or set off alarms. Okay, so this is interesting. So the leader of Hamas in Gaza is is Mohammed Sinwar, who is Yahya Sinwar's brother. Yahya Sinwar was assassinated, or was killed a couple of weeks ago by a drone that flew in found where he was, flew into the building he was, and didn't know at the time it was him. He threw something at the drone, and he was killed. They found out the next day that was him. Okay, so he just points out the Palestinians in general, and Hamas in particular, are not a monarchy. There was no king. Yahya Sinwar was not a king, and he did not crown his brother as the leader of Hamas in Gaza. Mohammed Sinwar was never part of the Hamas political leadership. There is no single decision maker in Hamas, and there never was. Decision making in Hamas is much more complex than that. In Israel, there is a single decision maker, but not in Hamas. So that's interesting. Okay. Michael. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at. There's more news. The Americans are talking now.
Cannot have a role in governing Gaza. Hamas can't have a role. ISIS doesn't have a role. Al Qaeda doesn't have a role. No, of course not. And it
Is
astounds me
Mike
that
Votes?
people try to put
Unfortunately, I'm watching it in Hebrew and I don't know
category.
the guy's name in English. So I don't know if he's an American official or just an analyst, but he said that Hamas will not have a role in governing Gaza. It's like, why would you give a terrorist organization in a deal a role in governing Gaza? All right, just trying to see if there's any other updates here before I move on. I mean, interesting. I mean, Trump has said he wanted a deal by the 20th, and it's going to be on the 19th. It's going to start to go into effect. But as this person is saying in an interview in the Hostage Square, it's in Tel Aviv, Hostage Square. They have dedicated this, like, it's been taken over by a 24/7, months long camp set up by the hostage families, where there's just always a presence, like always a reminder, and that's where people go all the time. So what was that? Did you hear that, Raya? Okay, nobody's concerned. I guess it was nothing. Let me see if I. All right, so this person was just saying, and I totally agree, that you can't really believe anything. You can't not believe, but anything can happen. Anything can happen to mess this up. I mean, there could be like a renegade guy in Gaza who finds a rocket, an unused rocket, and launches it. They launched about 20 rockets in the last couple of weeks, so meaning they still have supplies, they still have weapons. They have like booby trap buildings. There's so many tunnels under Gaza, and there is, like we just read here, like there is no leadership. There's no strong leadership saying this is what we should do. So a lot of people are just acting on their own, and if they don't like the deal, that they might try to stymie the deal. Also, there was, I just remembering like the last round, when there were, I think we had 4 or 5 nights in a row of releases, but there was tension every day, and it got like later and later every day, like that anything could happen to stop it that night. Like there was Hamas always raised like other issues, or at least that's what I heard, and then Hamas would say like the Israelis raised issues, or they're not abiding by this. So another important thing that we'll have to talk about is what Israel is going to have to do in terms of withdrawing, because like I said, they were working neighborhood by neighborhood to put the whole strip under like some sort of containment. And they have like this entire corridor that they carved out, and it's like 5 miles north south plus the entire width of the strip. And that's a closed military zone. It's like you can't get in, get out. There's a passageway, there's observation towers. They also are controlling the Rafah crossing and Philadelphia crossing, like all along the southern border, which is like between Gaza and Egypt. So what are they going to have to give up, and by when are they going to have to get out? And a lot of people are saying like that, why Israel would agree to this. Like it's such a, like there are here in Israel, you've got protests going on right now, like against the deal. You have protests going on for the deal. And then within the pro deal camp, you've got ones who are saying like, just release anybody. And then you've got others that are saying release everybody at once. So there's just so many opinions that are flying around right now. Also, who is going to decide, like when the cabinet votes right now, the Israeli cabinet, they actually are wondering whether what do you call it, the Netanyahu's coalition is going to vote with him. There's actually at least one party that will vote against the deal, which means he'll have to draw votes from the opposition. But he does have enough to make it go. Nobody's concerned about that. Like, there will be enough. Whatever, he'll have enough votes for that if that's the case. All right, so let's see. Here's okay, so the Hostage Family Forum just said, while we acknowledge the intense public interest surrounding recent hostage developments, we respectfully request that media outlets and journalists allow the hostage families space during this entirely or critically sensitive time. The hours ahead will be filled with profound anxiety and emotion for all involved. At present, the families are not conducting interviews or making individual statements. We ask for your understanding and professional courtesy as we navigate these delicate moments. All right, so we've got a couple days of waiting and speculation is the enemy of truth. So we all need to stay vigilant and be watching and verifying and making sure we're not just hearing things from one outlet or one perspective. And that's why I'm flipping channels and reading this. And in the end, we still have to verify like probably 3 or 4 times. So anyway, that's it for now. That is the breaking news. They've agreed to a ceasefire. It will start to roll out over the next couple of days. We won't see any hostages released until Sunday. And then we'll have to, figure out what happens over 42 days of the ceasefire and how they're going to stretch that out. We'll then learn who is alive of the hostages, who isn't. And there's going to be a lot of families finding out some bad news that they wouldn't have known until now. And nobody knows. It's like Russian roulette in that it'll be like Russian roulette in that room waiting for answers. So anyway, so we're just going to be waiting and watching and see what happens. And that's it. In the meantime, stay tuned, check it out, and check back here to see if I'm doing any more lives. And probably if they're doing a release on Sunday, I'll be here. So, and whatever, check back before then and see if there's any updates. But all right, have a great day or night wherever you are. And